Andrea, we're heading to Devil's Island. How exciting is this as we go on to the next episode of Private Eyes, episode 4. You ready?
I'm ready, Matt.
How fantastic would that be to be Angie and Matt? They're great. Okay.
Whoa. This one is called The Devil's Playground. Secrets, lies, and audio tapes. An attempted murder or suspected suicide attempt sends Shade and Angie to the eclectic Toronto Islands to find the truth behind the dramatic story unfolding around them. Now, fun fact, I didn't really know that Toronto had islands like this.
Oh, you know
Did
what?
you?
No, and maybe we should have fact checked to see if it actually exists.
I mean, I'm assuming it's kind of like New York, where they have like
Yeah.
different places like that, like
Well,
Staten Island, right?
and I mean, Toronto's can go
It's
out a ways.
large,
So it's
yeah.
how I'm sure it's not Toronto proper. It's out in the burbs, kind of like you in Minneapolis,
I'm in St. Paul.
out in
We
your
are
rural farm that you live on.
St. Paul. I'm in the capital of
I'm
Minnesota.
I'm gonna have to come visit you at some point just so I can actually, because my vision of where you
Oh,
live is essentially you live in a barn in
so
the middle of this
St. Paul.
town of 27.
That's my hometown.
I know, I
Oh,
just can't get past it though. So I know that you live in St. Paul, but which many people, by the way, think Minneapolis is the capital. But as we know,
it is St. Paul.
it is
Minneapolis
the
is
other half of the
usually
Twin Cities.
more vibrant than St. Paul. St. Paul, downtown proper, not super vibrant, not a ton going on, unfortunately, except for the hockey. They do have hockey there. So tying it back to our private eyes. Well, let's dive into this episode, what we liked. For me, I liked that we did get this island, whether it was, your true or more like Staten Island feel. I liked the new setting because I'm finding this to be a really fun experience of like, oh, we get different, we had the horses last week and now we're going to an island. They're putting us in different places and spaces. So that keeps things fresh and interesting for me, especially when you do a weekly. I'm assuming at some point this was like a weekly television show and it's nice to
That's
explore a
kind
different
of
space.
your Murder She Wrote, right? Where
I
they
mean,
had
that's really
her
a lot.
kind
I would
of.
say a lot of things. Like Poker Face is also like that. A lot of the shows, or a lot of the
Well, she
mysteries.
travels across, like
Yes. Florida. She's in Florida a lot in season 2.
she's essentially the 2025, which is well before your time. What was the one with Grasshopper? The Kung Fu. I think it's called Kung Fu, where he just travels around the country, or the one with Michael Landon, where he goes around the
Little
country.
House on the Prairie.
No, he goes around the later in life, the one where he
Okay.
travels all around, and I think he's got like an angel or something that helps him. I don't know. I didn't watch it, but he travels.
Well, back to this
What a
episode.
great that really helped
This is
everyone
what
so
happens
much.
when we
There's a
record.
show
Oh
with
man.
Michael Landon where he travels.
Everyone behind the scenes. This is our like 4th episode of us recording today. So Eric is now off with Michael Landon traveling. So the relationship right now, it started to progress. I felt this episode between Angie and Matt. She's reading that Andre Agassi book that he talked about, saying he loved, and then we see her towards the end of the episode reading that book. So I really thought, oh, that's a cute moment of her being like, okay, I'm starting to kind of be into it with this guy. I respect him. I want to do what he suggested. I enjoyed how the father made amends. Now I'm saying the father of the one who was the attempted suicide in this regard, how he made amends with his daughter. I liked the gay couple who were actually lying to their fans and not, one of them was not actually gay. And it wasn't just a storyline that was thrown away. It had purpose. It was in there for a reason, as we talked about in the mystery, or we will be talking about the mystery 101 this week of like purposely putting in those storylines. And does it, distract or does it add? And this one I thought totally added. All of the characters I think they introduced all had purpose, and they all, especially with a 44-minute episode, you have to, like, if you're going to have people in there, they do have to serve a purpose. And so I think even the movies could, benefit from that, of being thinking, how can I take this person? What is their intent? Where do I actually want to go with them? Do I just throw them in just to throw them in? No, we're putting them in there for a reason. So for me, it all worked. I liked the book angle and how he was, had his writer's block and like dealing with that. But then the daughter was able to kind of make amends and how that came to be, even the pictures at the end, which I think I will talk about in just a second. So I'll stop there. What about you? What did you like?
I think the universe is back in order because we
Yep.
are completely aligned. My notes are so similar to yours. I thought it was a really good episode that had good use of red herrings. Every character in here was viable and they were all like so colorful too. They all had
Yeah.
their unique quirks to them. From the I guess you're not a peeping Tom if you use audio, but whatever, like you say, to the home and garden couple, gay couple, and just everybody in here served purpose and were entertaining
Yeah.
too. And like you, I liked how the book actually plays into the mystery. So it wasn't just that he was a writer. It really, he's writing a book that everyone thinks is about them. And so they all become these suspects. And you said it as well. They're not just these characters. It is 44 minutes, yet they're all developed in that 44 minutes too. So they're not superficial. They're not just throw-ins like, hey, we need an extra body. Let's put them in there. They all are developed, which is a testament to the writing. But I'm going to go to the main thing. The beginning was absolutely hilarious. Uh, when Matt goes to buy his coffee and he shows his PI license and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I got it, confused with my bank card." And the barista's like, "Yeah, I'm not very private of you for being a private eye." And then Jules totally calls him on it of like, "You so did that on purpose." He's like, "Come on, it's cool." I'm like Magnum, and as you have your Jessica. Magnum for me is the king of all detectives. And so getting a little Magnum PI, reference in this was for me just magical. So that intro just set the tone for the entire episode for me. Absolutely. Started out running and just kept getting better and better, I think.
Well, what we didn't like, mine is blank. Like I have nothing. I really enjoyed this episode. This might be maybe my favorite. I mean, there is for me, I guess this would be hard to pick. Some of them, I feel like I'll get that favorite one because again, like Rosemary and Thyme, we hit it and I'm like, yes, this is my favorite. This one, they're really good, but I don't know if I have one that sticks out more than the other. But this one is right up there with the first couple. This one's really good.
I agree. I have a nitpicky thing that I think the reveal, which is kind of contradictory, where the once again spoiler coming up, but the killer reveals like he's sharing the book that he's about to publish because he thinks the author died, and the author shows up to be like, haha, I'm not dead, which I don't think you would have that book ready to go in your press conference, everything within 10 minutes of the news announcement. So I thought that was a little bit whatever. But you know what? It's what do you do,
Worth
right?
it.
This is not documentary TV. And then my other one, which I realized, and I'm sure they said it before, but Jules is 14 years old. She's like, seems like she's a senior or something. Like she seems just so much more mature. She looks more mature. She doesn't seem like a 14-year-old where I don't know. So I found it like I was like, wait, she's 14? And can I say that's what I don't like? No, it's there, but I was just kind of surprised that she's supposed to be as young as she is because that's like a
But
pimply,
I would guess.
awkward
Well, have you
age
seen
thing.
14-year-olds recently? I mean,
I guess.
like they do act older and, I would say because of her disabilities with, she hasn't been able to see her whole life. Is that what we're
Yeah,
to take it?
yeah, she had it
So,
fairly early on.
I think that that is something where it's gonna make you feel older and seem older because she's having to
I
grow
guess.
up in different ways that, someone who can see their whole lives is not gonna have to deal with some of those things that she had to. So
It,
that's what I would say.
as I said, it's so nitpicky, and it's not. I can't even say I didn't like it. I was just shocked that she was her character is 14.
Plus, in TV, 14 is
Right.
an easier age because then you at
Well,
least, hey, 4 years. We got them for 4 years
that's a
before
good
they
point. That's a
graduate.
good point. Hey, we need it for the entire
Right.
series. So
That's easier.
I think the same
Well,
thing, by the way, in Castle. I think that actor is shockingly young for how she looks and behaves. I think it's so.
I was actually just reading an article that they were saying this is why people or young girls feel the pressure to dress, act older, or even like wear makeup, like not in movies, because so many 25-year-olds are playing 14-year-olds. And so they
Right.
think this is what they look like, especially like young boys too. You look at how developed, like these 25, 26-year-olds just ripped in movies with their shirts off. And you're like, that's not a 14-year-old boy. Like that's
I
just not
know.
possible. But then people think that in their head. And so there's also that whole Hollywood angle where that's going to play with people.
Yes. I remember my son trying to play football when he was that age, and he was just like 107 pounds. And
Yeah.
it's like he's trying to be all buff, hit the weight room, and it didn't matter. Nothing was happening. So.
Right.
All right. Well, how about the mystery?
Well, I liked it. I think, again, they had some good red herrings thrown in. I enjoyed the flow of the episode. I think that worked well. Nothing felt too stagnant, which is my least favorite thing when we spend too much time on one aspect of the mystery or one long monologue scene. I just get drawn out. So for me, it was like quick, get in, do our scene, do our purpose, on to the next thing. So it all worked. I liked the reveal at the end. I thought that was clever. Again, I did not overthink that and think of like all of the things that you did. Maybe that's our main difference here. You really think about this stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going with it. Sounds good. Yeah, of course he would be coming to that reveal. Why would that happen? Of course. And you're just like, how did that happen so quick? And I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
The publisher was
What about you?
once again, your notes are my notes. I thought it was a fun investigation with a really fun collection of characters. It had really good pace that just kept us moving along. And everyone on the island has a reason to kill Frank theoretically. And my note is, despite being totally unrealistic, it was a really fun way to reveal the attempted killer. Like, we didn't really have a killer, but attempted. And walking in on that press release, I thought was a great reveal. And like I said, as long as just don't overthink it, and you'll have a blast. Enjoy it for being this fun, light mystery, and it was fantastic. I agree with you, by the way. We said earlier that this may be the best of the first four that we've watched. It's really hitting its stride.
Yeah. Well, standout scene or performance for me, it was at the end when the father got his pictures taken by the daughter, and I thought that was really nice how they came together and had that moment. So that was it for me. What about you?
See, I was all sentimental last week, and you are this week. For me, it was Gil and Will Schmidt. For what you
Oh,
said earlier, they're the HGTV hosts, and they're these flamboyant gay guys, and it turns out, which Hallmark Plus,
one
this is why
is.
it's Hallmark Plus, not Hallmark Channel. Andy walks in on him, the one guy in bed with a woman, and like, wait a minute here, and you find out it's just a sham that producers saw them and thought they worked well as this couple, so they perpetuate it for their show ratings. And it just shows like reality show TV is not necessarily reality TV, except for the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I'm sure that is
Ah,
100%
very
unproduced.
unhinged. So
I'm sure
unhinged.
that's just truly what it's like. But so I just thought they were absolutely delightful, and it was a fun twist that did not see coming and didn't distract, and only, like you said, it only added. It kind of, when we our mystery 101, when we talk about things that maybe are in there that is a fun twist but don't add. This one added.
Well, anything else for me? I've caught up. I have not watched the next episode, so I'm excited to kind of see what happens and I can't binge because as we did behind the scenes for Eric and I, we've recorded now 2 weeks in a row. So we recorded last week's and then this week's, both Private Eyes and our Mystery 101, and then the May recap all in one sitting. And I will say that gets a little tricky to be like, what goes where? Who was in what movie? So many things. And so I am going to, again, stick by week to week because having done two, at least they were different enough mysteries. I could keep them separate. But then throw in the Mystery 101. That is a lot of things to kind of keep all in your buckets, what went where. So I will come back to my just weekly episode watching of it. And I'm really excited to kind of dive into this one, which I know we won't record for a few weeks. So I'm also like, do I binge it right now after we're done talking? Or do I wait like a couple weeks so I remember fresh what's going on?
I will tell you what I am, because I'm flying to Michigan this week. And well, I shouldn't say
To
this
go to
week
the
because this
community
airs.
theater.
I am going last week. By the time this airs, I have flown to Michigan, and I am 100% binging this. I'm going to
Are
download
you?
it. I'm going to watch it in the plane.
Like the rest of the season one?
I'm probably going to watch the rest, at least the rest of season one, if not more.
Wow.
I am right now thoroughly hooked. Thoroughly hooked,
Wow.
and I just want to see that next episode. But like you, what I've learned to do, because I did watch these two back to back, and to keep them from getting confused, is I write my notes as soon as the episode's over, so I know what's happening.
I do that too. And then I have to
And what I'll do,
still
because
stay focused.
I will, because it's 44, and like I say, it's fast paced. I'll probably just watch that episode again before we watch for the refresher. Because I'll tell you what, I will not mind. Unlike those May movies, I will not mind watching these again and again. So I have to say, loving the series. We had so many people when we said, "Hey, should we review it?" Send messages saying, "Absolutely, you should." And I see why. It is a blast, the series.
Well, I was looking up how many episodes are in each season, and they vary each season. Like season one, it's 10, and then season two, there's 18
That's
episodes.
probably because they got like test season,
And
and
then
then
it
they're
goes
like,
back
okay,
to 12, and then 8. So
okay,
we're all over the place with this one. So at least we'll finish season one here, and then decide if we're going to keep going.
18 is a big commitment,
I
but
know. All right,
I'll
Eric,
tell
it's
you
been a
what, I like
pleasure.
talking about this every week more than the way
Mystery
home.
101.
By the way, sorry, before we go, I was looking at our Apple reviews, and we had somebody. We have generally good Apple reviews, and people, please, if you like us, go ahead and Apple or Spotify, YouTube, give us a review, give us some, follow, all that sort of good stuff. But we had someone on Apple who said, "Why are they like?" They gave us a 1-star review. Said, "Why do they talk about The Way Home if they hate
Oh,
it?"
I read that one to you. I read that on the thing.
Oh boy, I was like, I don't know why,
It's
but
okay.
clearly people don't like when we just sit there and talk about something we hate.
I mean, you're giving an honest feedback. I don't mind if people review. If you listen to the one, you get to know the person and know their taste. And then if you have similar taste, I find it helpful because then I'm like, oh, if this person liked it, I probably will like it. I'll watch it, and vice
Just,
versa.
just make the show better, and we'll give it a good review. On that note,
Bye.
we will say goodbye.
Oh.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark Channel.